Over 37 million Americans have diabetes, and the vast majority of them have been told at some point by a doctor, a dietitian, a magazine in a waiting room, to eat yogurt. It is healthy. It is good for you. Put it in your breakfast rotation, and you are doing something right. Here is what nobody tells you clearly enough. Most yogurt sitting on supermarket shelves right now is one of the worst things a diabetic can put in their body, not because yogurt itself is the problem. Yogurt, real yogurt, can genuinely help regulate your blood sugar. The problem is that the food industry took an ancient fermented food, pumped it full of sugar, flavoring, and fruit syrups, wrapped it in packaging that says healthy and natural, and sold it to you as medicine. It is not medicine. In its current form, most of it is dessert, with better marketing. And that distinction, the difference between what actually heals you and what quietly spikes your blood sugar while you believe you are making a smart choice, is something nobody is going to explain at your next doctor's appointment. There is no revenue in teaching you how to read a yogurt label. There is no time in a 12-minute office visit to walk you through how your body processes dairy differently depending on the type, the timing, and what you eat alongside it. That is exactly what this video is for. By the time we are done, you will know how to use yogurt as a real tool for blood sugar control. Not a guess, not a hope, but a clear, practical understanding of what to buy, what to avoid, and why it matters. Let's start with what is actually happening inside your body every time you eat. To understand why yogurt matters, you need to understand what is going wrong in diabetes in the first place. Heck, at every time you eat, your digestive system breaks food down into glucose, the basic fuel your cells run on. That glucose enters your bloodstream, and your pancreas responds by releasing insulin, a hormone that acts like a key, opening the door of each cell so glucose can move inside and be used for energy. In type 2 diabetes, those doors stop opening properly. The cells become resistant to insulin. They hear the knock, but they do not answer. So glucose stays trapped in the bloodstream, circulating at levels that, over months and years, quietly damage your blood vessels, your nerves, your kidneys, and your eyes. Now here is where yogurt enters the picture. Not all foods hit your bloodstream the same way. A slice of white bread dumps glucose into your blood fast and hard. Your pancreas scrambles to keep up, often fails, and your blood sugar spikes. Yogurt, when chosen correctly, does the opposite. It combines protein, fat, and a specific type of sugar, called lactose, that behaves very differently from the sugars in bread, juice, or cereal. Protein slows digestion, fat slows it further. Instead of a sharp spike, you get a slow, gradual rise that your pancreas can actually manage. But there is another layer most people never hear about. Yogurt is fermented. The bacterial cultures that make yogurt what it is have already partially broken down the lactose before it ever reaches your gut. That means less sugar actually hits your bloodstream than what the nutrition label suggests. This is the foundational insight everything else in this video builds on. Yogurt is not just a food. It is a delivery system, and the question is whether you are loading it correctly or sabotaging it before it even reaches your stomach. Let me show you something. Pick up a single-serve container of strawberry or vanilla yogurt from any major brand. Flip it around. Find the sugar line. You will see a number somewhere between 19 and 26 grams. Let me put that in terms your body actually understands. That is 5 to 6 teaspoons of pure table sugar packed into one small cup. For a diabetic, that is not a snack. That is a glucose bomb with a picture of a strawberry on it. And the industry knows exactly what it is doing. Look at the ingredients list. You will not always see the word sugar. You will see sucrose, cane sugar, fructose, fruit concentrate, evaporated cane juice, dextrose. These are all sugar. They use different names so that no single one appears first on the list, which would make the product look like what it actually is, a dessert. Now here is the part your doctor does not have time to explain. Every yogurt, even plain unsweetened yogurt, contains some sugar. That sugar is lactose. And it occurs naturally in all dairy. Lactose is not the enemy. The enemy is what the manufacturer adds on top. Since 2020, nutrition labels in the United States are required to list added sugars separately. That line is the one that matters. If the added sugar line reads anything above 3 to 4 grams, that product has been sweetened. I will give you a rule you can use in any supermarket aisle in under 5 seconds. Look at the protein number. Look at the sugar number. If the sugar is more than double the protein, that yogurt is working against you, not for you. Put it back on the shelf. It does not matter what the front of the package says. It does not matter if it says light, fit, or heart healthy. The back label is the truth. The front label is the advertisement. Not all yogurt is built the same, and for a diabetic, the type you choose changes the entire metabolic outcome. Regular yogurt has moderate protein, a higher lactose content, and a thinner consistency. It is not terrible, but it is not doing much heavy lifting for your blood sugar either. Greek yogurt is a different product entirely. It is strained to remove the liquid whey, and that straining process concentrates the protein, typically 12 to 18 grams per serving, while reducing the sugar content. More protein, less sugar, slower digestion, flatter glucose curve. That is the math a diabetic needs. Icelandic yogurt, also called sky, is strained even further. It has the highest protein density and the lowest sugar of any dairy-based option. If you can find plain, unsweetened sky, it is an excellent choice. Now, plant-based yogurts, this is where people get into trouble. Coconut, almond, oat, soy. The word plant-based creates an automatic assumption that it must be healthier. It is not. Many plant-based yogurts are loaded with added sugars and thickeners like tapioca starch to mimic the texture of dairy, and most contain dramatically less protein. Some soy-based versions are reasonable, but you must read every label because the variation between brands is enormous. Here is my clear recommendation. For blood sugar control, plain full-fat or 2% Greek yogurt is the strongest option for most people, and I want you to notice that I said full-fat. For decades, diabetics were told to choose low-fat and fat-free dairy. That advice was backwards. Fat slows gastric emptying, meaning glucose enters your bloodstream more gradually. When manufacturers remove the fat, they almost always compensate with extra sugar to keep the taste acceptable. You end up with a product that is lower in the thing that protects you and higher in the thing that harms you. This is the part that surprises most people. You can eat the exact same yogurt, the exact same amount with the exact same toppings, and get a completely different blood sugar result depending on what time of day you eat it. That is not a guess. That is published research, and almost nobody explains it to diabetics. Here is the concept. Scientists call it the second meal effect. What you eat at your first meal of the day directly influences how your body handles glucose at the next one. When you eat high-protein plain yogurt in the morning, the protein triggers an early moderate insulin response. Think of it as a warm-up for your pancreas. It does not spike your blood sugar. Instead, it primes the entire system so that when lunch arrives, your body is already calibrated, already prepared to manage the incoming glucose load. Studies show that people who eat a high-protein breakfast produce noticeably lower glucose spikes after lunch compared to people who skip breakfast or eat something carbohydrate-heavy. Your pancreas works better for the rest of the day because you gave it the right first signal. Now contrast that with eating yogurt at 10 p.m. Your body runs on a circadian clock, and insulin sensitivity is not constant throughout the day. It peaks in the morning and drops significantly in the evening. By nighttime, your cells are naturally less responsive to insulin. The same yogurt that produced a gentle, manageable glucose curve at 8 a.m. can produce a noticeably higher spike at 10 p.m. Your pancreas sends the same insulin signal, but the doors on your cells are harder to open. The practical rule is straightforward. Yogurt works hardest for you at breakfast, or as a mid-morning snack. It works least efficiently after dinner. Timing is not a minor detail. It fundamentally changes the metabolic outcome of the exact same food. You just learned something that most diabetics never hear from their doctor. The same food can help you or work against you, depending on how your body is processing insulin at that moment. That raises a bigger question, and it is one worth sitting with. How well is your body actually managing blood sugar right now? Not how well you think it is managing it. How well it actually is. Most people with diabetes or prediabetes have never had a comprehensive metabolic screening beyond a basic fasting glucose test. They do not know their HbA1c trend over time. They do not know whether they qualify for newer treatment approaches that have become available in the last 2 years. They do not know what clinical trials or screening programs exist in their area. Here is what I would tell you if you were sitting across from me in my office. Go to Care Health. It is a free platform that connects you with healthcare options near you. Diabetes screenings, blood sugar monitoring, clinical trials for glucose management, and metabolic health. You fill in a short form, your date of birth, gender, a few basic details. It takes about 30 seconds. No cost, no commitment. Care Health matches you with relevant options in your area. Click the link in the description below, or if you see the QR code on screen, open your phone camera and point it at the code. Take that step today while it is fresh in your mind. Now back to what you need to know about how to actually combine yogurt with other foods, because what you eat alongside it changes the entire blood sugar equation. You can choose the perfect yogurt, plain, full-fat, Greek, no added sugar, and then destroy its entire benefit in under 10 seconds with what you put on top of it. This is where most people unknowingly undo all of their good decisions. Yogurt on its own has a moderate glycemic impact. The protein and fat slow digestion, and the fermented lactose produces a gentle glucose curve. But the moment you add something to that bowl, you are either strengthening that buffer or blowing right through it. 3 additions genuinely help. First, nuts. A small handful of raw walnuts or almonds adds healthy fat that slows glucose absorption even further. Second, seeds like chia or ground flaxseed. These contain soluble fiber that forms a gel-like substance in your gut, physically slowing the rate at which sugar passes into your bloodstream. Third, cinnamon. Research suggests it may improve insulin sensitivity at the cellular level, helping your cells actually respond when insulin comes knocking. Now the dangerous additions: honey, granola, dried fruit, flavored syrups, and anything labeled fruit on the bottom. Each of these adds a concentrated sugar load that overwhelms the protective buffer yogurt provides. The protein and fat can only slow down so much incoming glucose before the system is overrun. Picture this: a bowl of plain Greek yogurt with a tablespoon of chia seeds and a few raw walnuts produces a nearly flat glucose curve in most diabetics. You could measure it with a continuous monitor and barely see the line move. Now take that same yogurt, drizzle honey over it, and toss on a handful of granola. The glucose spike you get is almost identical to eating a slice of white bread. Same base food, completely different metabolic outcome. The yogurt did not change. What you put into it changed everything. There is a mistake I see even in patients who have done everything else right. They chose plain Greek yogurt. They skip the honey, they add the right seeds and nuts, and then they eat 400 grams of it in a single sitting because in their mind, it is healthy, so more must be better. It is not. Even plain unsweetened Greek yogurt contains lactose, a naturally occurring sugar. In moderate amounts, the protein and fat buffer that lactose effectively. Your pancreas releases a manageable dose of insulin, the glucose enters your bloodstream slowly, and the system stays balanced. But your pancreas can only produce so much insulin per hour. That is a hard biological limit. When you eat 300, 400, 500 grams of yogurt at once, the lactose load accumulates. It starts to exceed what the protein and fat can buffer and what your pancreas can cover. Blood sugar climbs, not because you chose the wrong food, but because you gave your body more of the right food than it could process at one time. Think of it the way you would think of medication. If your doctor prescribes 1 pill and it works, you do not take 4 pills because you want it to work 4 times as well. That is not how the body operates. Dosing matters. The practical guideline is 150 to 200 grams per serving, roughly 3/4 of a cup. That is the range where most diabetics get the maximum benefit from yogurt's protein, fat, and probiotic profile with minimal glucose impact. If you want more yogurt in your day, split it into 2 smaller servings separated by several hours. Give your pancreas time to do its job before you hand it the next task. Most people think of yogurt's bacteria as a digestive aid, something that helps your stomach feel comfortable. That is true, but it is the smallest part of the story. What emerging research is revealing is far more significant for diabetics, and almost nobody is connecting these dots in a doctor's office. Yogurt's live bacterial cultures, primarily Lactobacillus and Streptococcus thermophilus, actively participate in how your body handles blood sugar. Here is the mechanism. Your gut lining is not just a passive tube that absorbs whatever passes through. It is lined with specialized cells that release hormones called incretins. These hormones travel through your bloodstream and signal your pancreas to start preparing insulin before glucose even arrives. Think of it as an early warning system. The food is still being digested, and your pancreas is already warming up, getting ready to manage the incoming sugar load. A healthy, diverse gut microbiome keeps that early warning system sharp and responsive. A disrupted microbiome means the signal is delayed or weakened. Your pancreas is always reacting late, after blood sugar has already spiked, always scrambling instead of prepared. Now here is the part that matters at the supermarket. Not all yogurt contains live bacteria. Heat-treated yogurt, the kind that sits on a shelf at room temperature, has had its cultures killed during processing. The container is still labeled yogurt, but the organisms that do the metabolic work are gone. You need to see the words live in active cultures on the label. Beyond that, diversity matters. Yogurts that list multiple specific bacterial strains are generally more beneficial than those with a vague contains active cultures claim. Yogurt is not just a food, it is a delivery vehicle for living organisms that actively help regulate your blood sugar. But only if those organisms are still alive when you eat them. Even after everything we have covered, there are specific mistakes I see diabetics make over and over again, each one quietly undermining what should be working in their favor. The first mistake is buying yogurt labeled diabetic-friendly or sugar-free. These products replace sugar with artificial sweeteners, and while the sugar line on the label looks clean, some of these sweeteners can still trigger an insulin response. Worse, research suggests certain artificial sweeteners may negatively alter your gut bacteria, the exact organisms we just discussed that help your pancreas prepare for incoming glucose. You remove the sugar, but damage the system that was protecting you. The second mistake is eating yogurt as a dessert after a large carbohydrate-heavy meal. Your blood sugar is already climbing from the pasta or the rice or the bread. Stacking yogurt on top of that does not calm the spike. Your pancreas is already overwhelmed. The benefit yogurt offers comes from being a controlled, well-timed input, not from being piled onto an existing glucose load. The third mistake is assuming all Greek yogurt is the same. Some brands do not actually strain their yogurt. They add thickeners like cornstarch or milk protein concentrate to mimic the texture. The result is a product that looks and feels like Greek yogurt but has lower protein and higher carbohydrate content. Check the ingredients list, not just the front label. The fourth mistake is storage. Live cultures die over time, and they die faster when the cold chain is broken. Yogurt that sat in a warm car for an hour or has been open in your refrigerator for 2 weeks contains far fewer living bacteria than a fresh, properly stored container. The fifth mistake is blending yogurt into smoothies with fruit juice and banana. Blending removes the mechanical work of chewing and digestion that normally slows absorption. You turn a blood sugar-friendly food into a high glycemic liquid that hits your bloodstream almost as fast as soda. Here is your practical framework. No guesswork, no complicated meal plans, just a simple daily protocol you can start tomorrow morning. Breakfast: 150 to 200 grams of plain full-fat or 2% Greek yogurt. On top, a tablespoon of chia seeds or ground flaxseed and a small handful of raw unsalted nuts, walnuts, almonds, or pecans. If you want, a dash of cinnamon. No honey, no granola, no dried fruit. This is your first meal effect. You are giving your pancreas a clean, protein-rich signal first thing in the morning that primes your insulin sensitivity for the rest of the day. Every meal that follows benefits from this one decision. If plain yogurt is too tart for you, the adjustment is simple. Add a few fresh berries, blueberries or raspberries. These are the lowest glycemic fruits available. They add sweetness without a meaningful sugar load. A small handful is enough. You are flavoring, not filling. Mid-afternoon. If you want a second serving, keep it smaller, 100 to 120 grams, and pair it with a few nuts. This serves as a protein bridge across the part of the day where blood sugar tends to dip and your brain starts reaching for something sweet before dinner. That late afternoon craving for biscuits or crackers is not weakness, it is a blood sugar valley, and a small yogurt serving fills it without creating a spike. Evening rule: avoid yogurt within 2 to 3 hours of sleep. We covered this in detail earlier. Your insulin sensitivity drops at night. The same serving that works beautifully at 8 a.m. works against you at 10 p.m. One last thing worth repeating: consistency matters more than perfection. Doing this most days of the week produces cumulative metabolic benefits that a single perfect day cannot match. Your body adapts to what repeats, only to what repeats. Let me bring this together. Plain, full-fat, or 2% Greek yogurt is the foundation. Read the back label, not the front. If added sugars are above 3 to 4 grams, put it back. If the total sugar is more than double the protein, put it back. Pair your yogurt with fiber and healthy fats, chia seeds, flaxseed, raw nuts. These slow glucose absorption and flatten the curve your pancreas has to manage. Eat it in the morning for maximum benefit. That is when your insulin sensitivity is highest and when the second meal effect does its strongest work. Keep portions to 150 to 200 grams. Your pancreas has a limited capacity per hour, and even good food overwhelms it in large amounts. Protect the live cultures. Buy yogurt that says live in active cultures, store it cold, Eat it fresh. Those bacteria are not a bonus feature. They are part of the mechanism that helps your body manage blood sugar. Avoid the traps. Honey, granola, sugar-free sweeteners, fruit on the bottom, smoothies blended with juice and banana. Each one quietly undoes the work yogurt is trying to do for you. Yogurt is not a cure for diabetes. Nobody should tell you it is. But when used correctly, it is one of the most accessible, affordable daily tools for keeping blood sugar steadier and reducing the metabolic stress on your pancreas over time. Managing diabetes is not about finding one perfect food, it is about understanding how your body processes what you eat and making small informed adjustments every single day. That is what gives you control. And remember, that free health screening link is in the description. 30 seconds could connect you with diabetes screenings, blood sugar monitoring, or new treatment options in your area. Take care of yourself.